state of mind is always on fire, moving at the speed of thought with feverish intensity to break discontinuity and shift reality to true continuity and a true power of Luciferian intelligence, devouring the lives of the possessed, the sickly, and the paralyzed. The intellect, I know, is also my cross. Many recede and fall into cowardice, unable to escape the prison of sensory stimulus. From the peak they fall starkly. One must rise to the occasion of living a real life, to bring one's life to life. Depart from life's self-destructive paradox and embrace the instinctive, intuitive, and mystical. To fight against the narrow shilling of the peripheral. This is the mark of genius. Our current trend towards oblivion is not established by an Illuminati per se, but by man's drive towards self-desolation and the frenzy of greed. A more, me mentality. The datum of satanic aspiration thwarts this process towards global annihilation. It proposes a more perfect satanic union. Mankind is at the crossroad of idiot savants. The Satanist central thought, the manipulating of life and time, the urgent agenda of any black magician is to see his works come into fruition. The black magic practitioner cuts through the endless conclaves of misery and goes for the jugular. To wield black magic might today, not tomorrow. Over-intellectualizing is a brutal telling phrase of inaction. It is imperative for the black magic practitioner to know and to react and forage on the enemy, lest be lost in fear and over-analysis and hence devoured. Through the rigor and exactness one can attain an avowed existence, the lyricism of Lucifer incarnate, break from the disguise of being. Wrote that during the full moon. It's been quite a time. I've been working both ends of the black candle to merge in the center, to be reconfigured into a new reality, to escape the manufactured reality. And it's been quite an interesting experience as we cross through the threshold from 2013 to 2014. I feel more powerful than ever before. I guess Mephistopheles is at the height of his powers. And I think we are being carried through. I was doing some work with some people, and I'm constantly interacting with people, and it's like everyone now is a witch. It's unbelievable. Everyone I meet, everyone I speak to. And it's random. I was even on the train, and I saw a man wearing an emblem of some kind of Masonic thing, and then he had the dualities of the universal cross. And I was like, approached him. I said, I know what your symbols mean. He's like, yeah, I'm a practitioner. I'm getting into it. And I was like, yeah, it seems that everybody is. And it's quite a good trend as we develop into a more perfect satanic union with ourselves, or a self-evident evil, which is mankind, unto its growing witchcraft reality for today and into the future, allowing the conjugal of the past to die and move forward, which is excellent. It's where we definitely have to go. Received a lot of requests via email to continue my readings of my books. In the past, I think I have read now from Black Magic Might, and I have read from Luciferian Incantus. Today we will read from the touchstone of the Satanic Paradigm, which is a paramount piece of my efforts and my works in the black arts. We'll be reading some of that. Also be doing some dream interpretations. Received some really interesting dreams. Mainly touch on one or two of those. Dreams is a commonality here on the Pentacle-Hours. I like to talk about them because I find that you know, everyone can learn something from the, you know, the divulgement of what a dream offers, and different type of things that are there, and emblems, because are dreams in a sense universal? Yes. It is the unconscious speaking to the conscious, conveying a message. Yes. And you know, I've said this and possibly overstated this, we do spend half our lives asleep, so hence it gives itself merit. I was in an upper level room. There was a skylight. A child, he was 10 years old, with a black shirt. He had brown hair and sort of more youngish even for 10. However, he was a version of my ex-boyfriend. Two men in their 20s, tall and thin, entered the room. There was a moon that came through the skylight. I felt like I was a ghost, a floating observer. The men carried in a white chicken, and they began to maim the chicken. And they ripped off one of its talons, and it tried to escape from them, and there was blood on the floor. Then the chicken turned into a bat and flew through the skylight and went away. So this was just kind of silly. I mean, you think about it, you know, a chicken, who often dreams of that? However, in voodoo, chickens are taken very seriously. In Voodooian reality, if you find a chicken's foot tied to your door, you're a dead man, or whatever. It bears serious accoutrements of black magic intent in this dreams, what drew me to it. And I think that the symbolism here is very odd. Not odd, but very pointed. The way it looked is that, yes, there was this boy, a child, resembling an ex-boyfriend. Okay, so we have that going on. So we kind of got our culprit in this dream. And looking at it, okay, so you're the ex, you're disgruntled, you know, breakups happen, whatever, this guy's leaving. So what's the deal? These men enter, and they're bearing this sigil of death in Voodooian tradition. It's interesting to me. And the fact that they continue to, or they do maim it, I'm against all maiming of creatures, and we're going to go into something later on that we'll talk about is ridiculous about something in regards to that. But in this dream, it appears that through the maiming, the transformation of this chicken to send out a bat, or the bat is transformed. Bats, I like bats, I think they're beautiful, but they are, again, harbingers of death in a dream. There are very few symbols in a dream that are harbingers of death, but chickens and things like this are one of them, and so are bats. Despite what some other interpreters say, oh, it's just a night creature, and everything's altruistic, and we're all in love with one another and get along. No. It is my opinion, and my intuition, and when I read this, is that the boyfriend is acting like a child, so he brings in some kind of negative black magic intent to put a curse on you. And he sends it out into the aether, and so he's projecting this negative energy on you. And now, you've overheard me say this many times if you listen to my show, the thousands of different individuals that chime in on my reaction to karma. I don't believe in karma. Karma doesn't exist. Karma was invented by conditioning lies meant to keep you in a cell and more into your prison reality. If karma existed, mankind would have been wiped out a long time ago. People screw each other over all the time. The governments get away with wiping out whole swaths of populations, and these things happen throughout reality and history and in our historic records. So if this was all karmic in a way, you know, we would have all been annihilated a long, long time ago. Deviating. However, in this dream, this child, boy or whatever, this man, who is envisioned like a child in her dream, is a girl's dream, is probably feeling some kind of sour grapes about the relationship. He didn't get his way or something, and so he brings in this black magic intent to put a curse on you. And that's kind of what I got to right away. I showed this to someone else who does these reads with me. You know, I consult with a lot of people, whatever. And they came to a different conclusion. They said that everything is reflective in the dream, that the child is really the person and all this, and that that the ghost is all relative. Well, see, I think it's different. I think the ghost is there as his intent. So you're concentrating and you're bringing in that person. So that was that girl felt like a ghost. That was the target, this chicken being sacrificed to something. And I'm against sacrifice. I think it's needless, but there was some kind of sacrificing of this child. And the fact that the talon was broken on the chicken leads me to believe it was a Vudean type of tradition which was executed against this person. Because that's what you do in receiving a chicken's foot, which is widely known. You know, it's to bequest or doom. It's saying that there is this curse on you, and it's intense. I mean, not many people have these type of dreams, and the structure of it is kind of eerie. I've never heard of such a dream before. And all of the different elements in the dream point to black magic. You know, my friend arrived at a different conclusion again, saying that, no, it's altruistic, and the bad is a symbolic aspect of transformation. The person is transcending, and so, but it's not them physically there. They felt ghost-like. It was the child, this ex-boyfriend or something, this disgruntled little child, brings in these two like men who are actually probably symbolic of demons in the dream. In this other reference, they said they were kind of shady. They felt dark. So they were being evoked, and the person felt like an observer. The observer was the target. The chicken thing was the Vudean method utilized to cast the curse. The bat transformation was the sender. The arrows that fly by night and the arrows that fly by day. And if you were into black magic, that is what you send, especially if you have a photograph of the individual. So let's say we have this photograph of this woman, this man who's disgruntled, who's acting like a child, sends this black magic curse on this person. And on the flip side of such a dream, in its aspect of the reality of it, how you would protect yourself. How do you protect yourself from something like this? You know, there are these astral entryways, the psychic destructive methods, you know, and then the cursing aspect, the magical aspect, to bring about black magic intent. And obviously because maybe she didn't want to be with him anymore, so he's disgruntled, and so he's just going to destroy what he can't have, which is so common in this tired and ridiculous culture of modern dating that's going on. It's like, oh, she won't be with me, so I'm going to wreck her, or I'm going to bring some kind of thing. And I'm not a saint in this way, too. I mean, fights happen and arguments occur, but I don't take this to this level. I'm not sour grapes like that. People come and go, there's different things that occur, yeah. I mean, there's methods of anger that do occur and different things that may erupt, but I don't personally go this way. I don't put love spells on people, and I just don't curse people that I've been with, because it's just, that's the nature. It's all fair in love and war, isn't it? If you're a mature enough person to deal with it. Clearly, this individual is not. This man or whatever acting like a child, because she said it was a young version of her boyfriend as a child, 10 years old, so maybe that's where he was acting. It's kind of like that Prince song, you know, you're as old as your shoe wear or something. And how would you protect yourself from something like this? Well, first you would have to have knowledge of it. Typically your luck would slide first. So your luck's going to slide. You're going to lose your job suddenly. Someone you love is going to turn against you. Bad health issues. You know, car breaks down suddenly. It was an immaculate $20,000 car or something, and your brakes go out. These kind of things are clues. And if you're into magic, and maybe even not, you need to kind of uptick your ears when those kind of events are occurring. It's like, especially if they're happening in threes, like 1, 2, 3. Why is this negativity happening? Why is this coming this way? Why, you know? So if you're seeing a rash of bad luck, then you can typically say, hey, you know, I'm kind of under a curse. Now, I deal with curse banishings, and I've talked with individuals, and I'll do readings for them first to even ascertain if curses, or if they're even under a curse, because a lot of times, you know, curses are psychological. You can turn right instead of left. You don't have to, you know, cue it up like, oh, I'm automatically cursed, when it's just some social, societal changes that you can make and to modify some of your things through your own self-help, whatever you want to call it. I don't like the self-help jargon lie, but, people need that. I utilize self-deception in order to overcome fear. We do that. We all do that. Maybe not all of us. I'm generalizing. Neither here nor there. Whatever it is that you can do to overcome your societal issues, maybe so. So there's a clear line difference between carrying a curse, other than just you're kind of failing in reality and you can tweak this and fix that and things will improve. So in this curse in general, how would you protect yourself from it? You'd have to identify it. Rash of bad luck is clear enough road to that access point. You would say, okay, at 1, 2, and 3 have all of a sudden happened. What's going on? And it doesn't matter where the curses come from. I'm utilizing this dream as a platform to understand what a curse is. And my show per se is not about curses today, and I will read from Paradigm in shortly or whatever I want to do, as this is Pentacle-Hours. It is a free-flowing form of philosophy in all things occult. And so, as you can see, I move across the spectrum in various discussions as I try to have different things that I want to touch on. But identification of the curse is imperative. Then what do? You would probably want to get a witch's knot or some kind of accoutrement of protection. And you want to kind of focus on that. There's innumerable different diatribes where you can do your sort of, I hate the word blessing or incantations, evocative action in order to bring about a power sigil on yourself in order to build a barrier of some kind. That's step one, and then you want to have different other things. You could put a pentacle by your bed or certain things, a distraction, mirrors facing outward on your windows and so on and so on. And then, clearly trying to do self-evident banishings, burning candles, meditations, and so on. If it gets too out of hand, and really black magic can only be challenged by a black magic practitioner. And this is where a lot of people deviate, because they think they can bring in some kind of altruistic method, and there are different, and I don't slam other methods, even though I'm into the black magic realm. A lot of slamming goes on. They slam me, and that's fine, or slam whatever. I don't mess with that. It's all relative in the terms of the universe. It's endless. So from my experience in this particular aspect, in this black magic curse that I do feel that has come through this dream, it's a telling sign that only black magic can handle it. Altruistic magic, the kind of, harm none and do, what thou wilt or something, that kind of stuff is not going to work on this. You have to fight the fire with the fire. You have to summon the same Goetian demonic forces, or whatever you want to call them, in order to handle or call back these forces and banish and so on. So probably you would have to employ someone like myself, or a real, not a charlatan, in order to banish this thing, inevitably, depending on how powerful it is. The one in this dream, especially in dealing with voodoo, is very powerful. The different symbols are very, you probably have something buried in your yard. You probably have some kind of weird chicken thing tied somewhere to your house, or some kind of stone was put there, or nail, or, rusty nails are common. You'll get somebody with sour grapes in a relationship that will just throw a rusty nail near you. That can bring this horrid luck and destructive curses. So instead of going out and trying to identify, who did it, and you'll kind of relatively know that, or try to go out and find out where this thing is dug. It's near impossibility unless you're a remote viewer. Now, I've done that too. I've actually gone out and find the different accoutrements of cursing that are buried in people's yards, the rusty nail. I know it's hard to believe, but needle in a haystack. That stuff happens too, but that's not necessary. If you do certain amounts of magical intent and projection and barrierification for yourself, and you can find those diatribes, that can work, and that will deaden its power, and that it will eventually fade as it has not taken effect. However, if it is black magic, more than likely you will have to employ someone like myself, who is real, not a charlatan who's just trying to put your hand in your pocket. There is a fees for all this kind of things, obviously, as it's been through 1,000 years of whatever history it's been going on. But, a lot of these times, again, you're going to get into charlatanism, and you're going to run into people, oh, I'll remove your curse, it's thousands. And so that kind of thing is a ripoff. It's kind of like these things with remote viewing classes. You don't need a class to be a remote viewer. You are either a remote viewer or you're not. There's certain methods of meditation and psychic projection you can achieve remote viewing, which in all honesty was just called clairaudience, clairvoyance in the medieval ages. I'm Winter Lake at winterlake.com, AM 1710, broadcasting live to Chicago, 5 to 7. It is a relatively cold day out today here in Chicago land, although we reside just inches outside the loop. Studio is viewed just right outside the loop, or whatever you want to call it, here in Chicago. The third largest city in the country, I believe. I think it's New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago. I could be wrong. I don't know. I don't really care about these things. I don't hold a demographer's view. Overpopulation is one of the greatest sins of mankind as we populate ourselves out of existence into complete biocide of our global structure and our manufactured reality. Consumer slave emblems are everywhere of the corporate espionage and the global war to sell you more. It's quite interesting everywhere I go. The golden halos of death, and line up at McDeath and 3-ton pieces of steel in order to get things to devour that will kill you in the GMO, genetically modified reality that we coexist in. It's just kind of an irony. These fossil machines that are running on this antique technology that could, not be necessary if we spend a fraction of our time investing in new, reliable forces, new technology that would elevate us from being terrestrial slaves and get us off this rock and go out in the universe and conquer it like we're meant to do. And it's just mankind's incursal nature. Mankind learns from crisis to crisis, and the suffering that is inherent throughout the historic record. The Akashic record is loaded with different races that are being pillaged and destroyed, very similar to the Holy Bible's reclamations to such things. A lot of satanic black magic practitioners burn Bibles, or they put down this Bible thing. The Bible is one of the most bloodthirsty doctrines that I've ever read. Is a record of man's inhumanity to man. Rape the daughter, slay the village, bring about some kind of evil power or something. It's all one self-evident evil, in my opinion. In today's culture, we even have this man who has spent $350,000 to hunt the last black rhino or something. Some beautiful creature that lives in Africa, obviously, maybe. And he's going to go hunt this creature. And it brought me into my reality. I think animals are awesome. Most of us in our practice, if you are into earth and reality, are against this kind of animal barbarity, destruction, and pillaging. And this idiot who wants to spend $350,000 to hunt this poor rhino that has never hurt anyone in his life is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard. And I say, let's hunt him. I would like to spend a load of money to hunt him. I think I would probably kill a human being before I would kill that little black rhino. It's utterly ridiculous, and this goes to the level of barbarity that humans are capable of, and that brings me the argument of man's inherent evil, or self-desire, self-gratification in an impoverished ego. Clearly, this person needs something to do that. That's why he's spending $350,000 in order to do that, to kill that little animal. And on the flip side, there are other individuals that say, oh, it's his right to do so, that he has this ability, you know, he can spend this X amount of dollars and let him kill off this rhino. And I'm like, no, I don't agree with you. I think I would prefer to spend $350,000 to have the ability to hunt him. I think that would be a lot of fun. I don't think this guy is going to be around much longer if he downs that black rhino, the last of its kind or something. I don't know the deal. I just heard the peripheral. And on the peripheral, I am making a subjective judgment. For all I know, maybe everything is forged, like the myth of Christ, and we are all being told something in our manufactured reality just to get my fur up. Well, even if that is the case, this kind of talk is ridiculous, and my fur is up. So it might as well be addressed, even if it is all fabricated, even if none of this exists. This kind of behavior, this kind of thinking, this sacrificial, animistic stupidity on the part of this ego-impoverished idiot, you know, if that is the case, then so be it. Even if it is manufactured, it's all lies, and it comes out that it's some invented story, and that happens too all the time. But in that event, still, it's enough to have a discussion that this kind of talk is stupid. But this is going to happen more and more. And I do consider the story 75% accurate. That this guy has spent this X amount of dollars to hunt this rhino. And I think we just should start hunting humans. When I did some underwriting for The Purge, and they borrowed wholeheartedly from my book, Liber Luciferi, about unleashing the beast. Unleash the beast within. In The Purge, the premise was that they would get rid of the dregs of society one night a year. Or unleash your evil that is inherent in your mind and in your spirit against those that have wronged you one day a year. That's The Purge. A lot of people down the concept. They're like, you know, true altruism. They want to, you know, embrace cripples and all this kind of thing, or whatever they're doing. You know, that is the training of the herd conditioned lie that deviates from you know, kind of supremacist thought. Now, true enough, the supremacist thought falls on its own sword, because then it becomes over ego, seeks genocides and all these kind of things, which in my opinion are nonsense. But what I am discussing is not a genocide. In the purge aspect of it, it's about being allowed to unleash the evil that is within you and go out and handle things on your own that were wrongs that were done unto you. In the future, this will happen. When the law system is so over-corroded and just breaks down and falls on its own sword, people will pick up their own swords and they will be able to handle their own laws. Is that barbaric? Yes. Has it happened before? Yes. Will it happen again? Yes. It's just like the inevitability of nuclear war. You cannot stave off nuclear war forever. It would be naive to do so. With all of the methods of weapons that are being developed, it is the primary goal of annihilation is humanity. Humanity deprived is beast. Just like all of the scrap in the United States is being carted over to China and being made into state-of-the-art weapons of war. They have a glider that will float across in the high scale, the echelons of the sky, and eradicate nuclear weapons before they strike their soil. This was probably all made from metal that was used to be in TVs from the 70s. And these kind of things are happening. And the barbarism of this one individual who wants to extinct this last rhino, he needs to be extinct. And it's unfortunate. This banter is strong on my part. You rarely hear me take a stand on something like this. It's never so extreme or whatever. And it's not a threat to this individual. I am not going to do anything against him. I have no interest in it. I just don't want to see the rhino destroyed. But I will, through methods, make sure to attempt to protect that little animal. methods that are known to me through black magic because I've done it before. You know, there was a man who kicked this dog and I handled that. And things like this happen. These are minor events in my life that I am able to handle that I feel that I need to handle. Or I wouldn't have heard the message. I wouldn't have got the call. And it's rare to get me like that. You know, I don't get upset over stuff. I have big events in my life, car crash, whatever. Oh, just go get another car. And I'm not rich. I just have a method to make something happen. I'm very content. I'm very happy, generally. You know, kind of happy-go-lucky. But when things like this, I hear them, you know, it's just stupid. Leave the little animals alone. They're all going to die by 2020 anyway with our population explosion. If we reach 14 billion people on this planet, animal biocide is inevitable. And then shortly thereafter, we will suffer the 6th mass extermination event of humanity. Probably something will develop and our water will run out and these things. And I've endlessly discussed this on my Illuminati mandate, which is the Pentacle-Hours from 5 to 7, broadcasting from AM 1710 from Chicago, Illinois. If you've never been here, I highly recommend a visit. It's a very beautiful place of darkness, a lot of towers of horns and a lot of good projection for your magic. And you also got a really strong ley line running through it that centralizes in a vortex in the middle of the lake, and it runs down through into Florida and into the Bermuda Triangle. So for all you know, one day you could walk out on the water and then appear on a beach in Florida. There you go. You might end up going to Leeds Scallan's Coral Castle or something, as I was discussing the other day about Coral Castle. This fascinating place that was developed by this madman, really, who was able to levitate large objects and construct these amazing, you know, astrological things there. It's kind of perplexing. But it's not for everybody. Could just be another pit stop in Miami. But Chicago is interesting. You know, I was downtown earlier in the Loop. I was doing some more filming of my Star-Crossed Vampire show. I mean, we're just knocking it out. And, you know, having all the energy down there, a lot of different elements have definitely come into the Loop. It's a lot more alive than it used to be. I remember a time in the Loop that it was kind of the dregs of society would hang on down there. And it's kind of rough. But now it's kind of really perked up and very exciting. A lot of new things down there. We have currently 6 television shows being broadcast out of Chicago. I am in casting. I work in that field and stuff, and so I'm kind of up on what's happening for film-wise in Chicago. I'd like to see Chicago become the new Hollywood. A lot of things in Los Angeles are negatives more than positives. All of the scoundrels are there. There is scoundrels in this business, but probably 80% scoundrels. But it's becoming oversaturated and kind of tired and overexpensive, and people are tired of driving, and so they're coming more into Memphis, Atlanta, and Chicago. And I hope the trend continues for more filming to go on downtown, because that's where I film my show. But there is just a lot of activity. A lot of feedback today. Sorry about that. It's odd how that happens on live radio. So where's that? I apologize about that. It's kind of odd. That's okay. Ghosts in the Machine. Or all the witches that I was just with. They're very powerful women, I can tell you that. Intimidated me. Whew! I rarely get intimidated. But I have been intimidated. Powerful session today with the show Star-Crossed Vampires. We bring such intent all together. So by request, we're going to do some reads of the Satanic Paradigm. We live, we evil. We are the art of black magic. Mysticism has been prostituted. Black magic is our state of mind, a stock and trade of the tired and true. I am the first, the last, the always. I am the high priest of Satan. I give lust at first sight. I give unfettered Luciferian light. And if I am betrayed, I give death unutterable. To know, to dare, to empower, this is the codex of Satan, beware. We see with all-seeing perspective, we see with all-seeing eyes. We live, we evil, we thrive. Ave Satanas. The Satanic Paradigm. Third wave Satanism. If an argument about Satanism is to be compelling rather than merely entertainment, it must treat competing satanic principles on their own terms. It would be far better for universal unification on this matter, but no infighting and petty rivalries do persist. This is counterproductive to the aims of the many. However, this book was written to address the true and the few. The many, unfortunately or fortunately, will be left behind. In some regards, Satanism is becoming a caricature, a catchphrase, or a fashion party. I seek to destroy these misinterpretations and bring about a new satanic paradigm. On Walpurgisnacht 1966, Anton LaVey declared the first wave of satanic movement in modern history. In 1988, the second wave was launched across all spiritual sectors. This initiation was brought on about Zena Schreck, LaVey she used to be, through the Abraxas Foundation ceremony co-authored with Nicholas Schreck. The Abraxas Foundation ceremony is also known as the 8888 celebration. Cloaked in mysticism, multifaceted in its magical working, its premise remained steadily focused on bringing about the second wave of satanic gnosis. Those in the know realize that Satan has thrown down the world's ministers and deceived the many with an gilded Luciferian light. Amplified by biblical and unbiblical chord nuances, this occurs with spiritual working subtly. I aver this to be true. Satan now rules through the stead of the rulers. The deception is true and accurate. The power of Satan has moved into the third wave in 999. This is when the third wave satanic paradigm shift began. The evolutionary future for religions across the world is extinction. Hordes are becoming consumers' dregs. They beg for their new television fix. Asleep and unable to think for themselves, younger brain-dead generations lack the gall, tenacity, intellect, or inclination to comprehend most anything. In turn, they begin to disdain themselves and loathe everything around them, self-hating masses of sheeple in an overpopulated world. The stage is set. The rift between the haves and the have-nots widens. Social collapse, turmoil, and other precursors shall begin as resources run out. It will become clearer as clusters and cabals shall join ranks in the ultimate preparation for the oncoming conflict within our terror-ridden culture. The signs are apparent and complex, yet they encircle us. This is the satanic paradigm, a total shift from outmoded thinking to a new psychic and pyrrhic satanic rationale. The basic premise is the modern Satanism will evolve and create new cutting-edge ways of doing things. Satanism is in itself a multifaceted notion which encompasses many arenas. The satanic paradigm shift has been gradual but progressing. It clicks and vibrates across Gaia's entire spectrum. The rise of Satanism and the realization of its potential is omnipresent. It is not necessary to spend a lot of time analyzing this point. Just know that it does advance, its aims are clear, and it proceeds in anonymity. Although many do, it is not necessary to agonize while trying to define Satanism. From my own experience, it is meta-mystical and touches many in my own diabolic soul. To each his own, I say. What works for one person may not work for another. I state the obvious here, but it is intended to emphasize that the field is open and fluid. A satanic practitioner should not be concerned with analysis, but with action. However, stating this leads me to give an ambiguous definition of third-wave Satanism. Third-wave Satanism is substantively a belief-forward action, intuitive, cognizant prediction, the exalted existence of satanic powers with agency, possessed of a dark purpose to influence worldly conditions and intervene in human affairs. This is rather labyrinthine, yes, yet this statement covers what I mean when I discuss third-wave Satanism as it unfolds. It offers a glimpse into how this black magic force works. We are the change through which Satan seeks to stamp his cloven hoof onto the world. We are the Satan. It should be noted that as the system declines, we will not. We will flourish. We will persevere in the act in concert to live our lives to the fittest. Even if decay is rife, the catchphrase for the Satanists will be, "Stay strong." This decay is already happening. The banks and churches are foreclosed. Religion already ceases to exist in the minds of many. Governments are crashing all around us. These are the fringes of the satanic paradigm shift. More will follow. Some Satanists and other religionists have stated concern over the growing threat of the Mohammedan religion. The religion is no threat at all. I can stress with absolute certainty that this religion in particular has fallen. To the power of satanic thought. And as I read from the paradigm, I'm realizing the crux, the power of it. And when I wrote this so many years ago, it's just bizarre because it's so relevant now. As I had written this in 2009, and now it's 2014, so I guess I've been at it now for 5 years. I didn't think I was. Time is just flying by, but I'm embracing it. And it's interesting because it's becoming more and more relevant every day. But that's when it started. September 9, 2009 is when the shift occurred in our global thought. And I guess that was when even, this whole downturn occurred. So it's interesting. But I can stress with absolute certainty that this religion in particular has fallen to the powers of Satan, the Mohammedan religion. Although it is large in numbers, it is tainted to the core with Ahrim's touch. Greatly deceived are those that walk in the steps of the so-called faith. Believe me, brothers and sisters of the left-hand path, Muhammad is dead, Ahrim lives. I also want to state that the destruction of the world is not necessary, nor is it imminent. The capitalism under which we live and the thirst for greed thrives. These are the manifold ways of how Satan operates. A new satanic era is sweeping over the land. This is the third wave of Satanism. As the satanic paradigm shift manifests, it shall further embed itself into the cosmic order. Through this profound cosmological event, the satanic paradigm will envelop our universe. It will luciferically enlighten our endeavors with supernatural consciousness. We as Satanists will stay the course as the gristle rots away. We will grow powerfully remote in our magical manipulations. And that is absolutely true. And in practitioner of black magic, to work in secrecy. I guess I'm not too secret though, as I'm speaking to thousands of people in the Chicagoland area live today from 5 to 7, and all of my listeners online, which are growing exponentially every day as well. So please write me if you wish at wolfloki@yahoo.com, WOLFLOKI @yahoo.com. And you can send me dream interpretations, opinions, or tell me that I'm tired and boring or something, and that's fine too. I want the negative and the positive, I don't care, but to be honest with you, I'm about 90% positive. I get about 10% negative, so I listen to it. I want to know. I want to know opinions. My show is new. It's really about 2 months new now, so it's not too old. And I typically upload my shows after each show every night, so you're able to go on to YouTube and find them. So you can catch up on what you haven't listened to. Even people that have been on haven't even listened to their shows. It just because it's just, no time, and our time is so precious, and it's imperative to come from a goal of in satanic thought or black magic practitioner to be a fatalist, to execute all time and all days alert, because you don't want to be, wasting time. And I do enjoy video games, and I do enjoy film, and I write for both, and I do a lot of that. But I prefer to make it as to watch it. And I'm getting to the point where it's less and less of my sensory stimulus activities are going that way. It's just one of those things, but I don't know. The rule of 9, reading from the Satanic Paradigm. 9 is the number of completion. It demands new beginnings. 9 corresponds, expands, and interconnects all things. 9 is the perfection of 3, symbolic of satanic presence and oneness. An infernal procession intertwined with multi-dimensional reality. 999 is the last set of sequential single-digit numbers paired until 2110. 9, the master number, strikes with satanic psychic angular edges of Luciferian light. The rule of 9 insurrects. Very important, not like that idiot politician or something, in my opinion, that was coming out with some 999 nonsense in order to boggle people and get a headline, because that's what they like to do. They just get headlines, sell you a bunch of lies, and get elected, and then follow their own self-endeavors, and that's why we have a place in hell for them. It's called Cositis. It's where the heretics and the politicians and the liars lie. They're kicked in the head while they're frozen in ice over and over. Kind of like hockey pucks or something, only their head is above it. But that's where the heretics and the liars go. Because that's what these people are doing. They're misleading. Charlatans are everywhere. It's in my profession too. No one is perfect. I'm not saying I'm perfect or whatever, but I don't go out of my way to tell people lies and mislead them, to try to put my hand in grandma's pocket and sell some spell that was never cast and some nonsense that would never work. And that is so pervasive in this new age we live in. Different crystal, crazy types that, fall in and try to sell you nonsense for real dollars. And it's interesting. Satanic Paradigm trajectory. In its decline, Christianity has become superficial, wailing and failing television religion and revision. The rising Satanic Paradigm aggressively destroys world religion. As indicated by modern human behavior, many now take a satanic view into their lives, and the numbers will only increase as the Christian church dies. I am struck by how quickly the Satanic Paradigm has taken hold. Asserting itself with subtlety and tact, it propels forward at an astronomical rate. It appropriates, dominates, and filters through dimensional prisms. It chimes the day and rocks the night. It is terrible and efficient in its restorative drive. Specific magical triggers are being initiated and increase the momentum of the Satanic Paradigm. It moves to reshape our world. The human sheeple model is now simply torpor. They lack identity. Their collective inner void is clear. They are ripe for the reaping. Upon reading this, many will realize that's exactly what it is. What I was thinking. This all-penetrating, subliminal power of the Satanic Paradigm shift is not only motion, it is on trajectory to overtake slave belief systems and reframe them to make a pure satanic union. The scope, secrecy, and sheer supernatural force of the Satanic Paradigm defy all expectations. The evidence is all around and unmistakable. We live in an ever-evolving satanic world. The Satanic Paradigm now shapes the West to become more Luciferian, embracing the consumer cult. Its signal shall become more dominant, oscillating with Gaia's magnetic field to become its own state of cognition. The key point to comprehend is that the Satanic Paradigm is efficient in its preternatural charismatic connectivity with the hordes. Even through theist apertures, each will realize his or her full potential because the Satanic Paradigm personifies in us. We carry the black magic banner that says, "Rise, Satanas." We have broken the hold of Christian slave mentality. We have opened ourselves to a new satanic age. The circumference of the spiked Satanic Paradigm wheel has reached the slope. It now careens across the sky to topple the steeples of the sheeple. It is on a course of cataclysmic proportions. Its power is all-encompassing. A new satanic salvation howls across the spectrum. Hell's denizens roar through the porthole with unrestrained vitality. World religions cringe in terror, their divinely ordained roles ringing hollow. The collapsing leadership are bound together by the great beast. They succumbed to the Satanic Paradigm long ago. Revealed for what they are, their pedestrian styles of worship, finally dragged out into the Luciferian light, they wither away in the black flame. The Satanic Paradigm is an articulate, pervasive, mystical occurrence. Many who believe will belong, just as many who deny it will be destroyed. In its satanic imperative, the Pazuzu current pervades the human unconsciousness. The herdlings are being led to the slaughter. The Satanic Paradigm is rising. And I am reading from the Paradigm today. And I'm finding it more relevant today than when I wrote it. As I see us grow ourselves in overpopulation, and soon we will be feeding on each other and hunting ourselves. Or hunting each other, like the beasts we are. Mankind is self-evident evil incarnate. Nietzsche touched on it, although embracing some altruistic aspects. There's been other philosophers. Philosophy bases itself on other philosophy. Where my philosophy deviates is that I come from a standpoint of the beginning. That from the beginning, mankind has been in denial of its satanic, inherent evil nature. If we embrace who we are and get rid of some of these conditioning herd things that have gone into us, this conditioned good and so on, then we can become more satanic and more pure in our union. And we live in denial. Now, true, the idols of fallacy are currently established, and we do coddle all of these things. And Nietzsche is an aspect of that, but he was mad, and he played with it, and he did look for some Ubermensch, Superman or something, save the day, rising above or elevate oneself, and cast out the cripple and all this when he himself is a cripple, so it's kind of ironic. That's close to my philosophy. I'm giving you that as example, as close. But I've deviated from that because I've gone into the spectrum of evil in its own incarnate nature. And also there's others, free thinkers and doubters, and these are essential to the philosophic record because we can reflect on those as well. I can tell you that I haven't really even read any Nietzsche or any of these philosophers. I came and tried to establish this much as my work, especially in 2009, on my own. I had an idea that I was working on that centered in doubt in the sense of logic and coming from that cold hard reality. And so I had come to be, in an empiric satanic nature. From the time period of 999 up into now, January 2014, the date of Janus, the god that looks both backwards and forwards in time. That's where we get the word January anyway. Everything in our record is taken from mythology. All the days of the week are taken from mythology. Just giving you an example, but it became later that I started to delve into the philosophic record and found these other thinkers which were very good. But they, I'm not saying I'm necessarily a unique creature, a unique beast in this aspect. But in my codex writing of different occult grimoires, there's been my own established premise, not a borrowed premise. Whereas a lot of people that I read, research now more than ever, I find that their concepts are borrowed, built upon, and just spit back out to you. I read a book, something about Atheist Manifesto, might as well be taken from one of Nietzsche's books. I mean, it had some different points, and it used some flowery language, which could, make person get caught up in the actual flowery language itself. And I use a lot of flowery language, so you can get caught up in my work too, but I'm actually saying something. Some of these people use flowery language. You have no idea what they're saying. It makes no sense. But the premise of the Satanic Paradigm breaks into a new future that leads us into our satanic singularity, the merging with our machines, the breaking of the manufactured reality, and to overcome all obstacles in our life through black magic power. I will continue reading for a bit, and I'm going to answer a few emails. I'm Winter Lake. We are broadcasting AM 1710 out of Chicago, live, 5 to 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. So for my friends in LA, you tuned in at 3. And if you're listening on XM Radio on the other side of the world, I'm being bootlegged, so I'm not getting a penny for that. I don't know if that's going to continue, but still get little birds tweeting in my ear saying that somebody is hijacking the signal and punting it over there. I guess it's good exposure, but I'd like to get paid for it. The Satanic Imperative, furtherance of the Satanic Paradigm. A finite man crouches in fear for a glimpse of the otherworldly. The Satanist wholeheartedly embraces such glimpses, steps in tune with universal order to transmogrify the other world around him. He is aware that the fourth dimension impinges on our own lives in omens of demonic trapezoidal geometria. He waits with eager eyes to see the rise of the great beast within. A true black magician cuts himself off from that which is considered mainstream. Within a cauldron of desolation and rage, he develops his own Luciferian constructs. He hones his magical perception like a blade sharpened to a vorpal strength. He tunes his body to a sensual fever pitch, ever amplifying his satanic consciousness. He stops contemplating his life and starts living it. This is the path of the Satanic Paradigm. This is the furtherance of Satan's works. This is the ever-piercing eye of Leviathan. In this era saturated by prostituted mysticism, it is time to bring forth some clarity. Waves of exterior Christian influence have deadened the senses of the true black magic practitioner. False white light purists and New Age practitioners have misled many from the true calling. Concentric and precise in its destruction of these and all false ideologies, the Satanic Paradigm moves to correct these shortfalls. Satan, through the preeminent force of his will, psychically intuits his influence over mankind. This is the power of the Satanic Paradigm. The implications of the Satanic Paradigm are staggering. It is having an enormous effect. The Satanic Imperative cuts through the chaff of the dead world spiritualism while indicating the left-hand path shadowed by the branches of reawakening. The tree of Yggdrasil grows fruitful at the end of this journey. Christians hang from it. Crows pluck out their eyes. The Christian corrosive constraint and filthy ecumenical lucre still hold sway over the American dream, yet their hold has been considerably weakened. The Satanist seeks to break the hold completely. The black magic practitioner is ratcheting up for a new satanic age. The harrowing satanic consciousness infiltrates all religions with ambiguous strands. Its tentacles reach into the psyche of men. The essence of Asmodeus is pervasive. The Satanist will shout aloud, "I contain within me the essence of Lucifer. I am the Satan." The conclusion to the satanic imperative is the Mephistophelian oath of self-assertion, which allows the black magician to further his understanding of himself. It rings directly into his soul, overcoming any vestige of self-denial to fully embrace the satanic dynamic. The divide between an empowered Luciferian and the sheeple are clear. Doubters, pessimists, and negativists often say to others, and especially to themselves, that this too shall pass. I am no better than anyone else. Why do bad things happen to good people? Through these types of phrases, they diminish their own importance. They have crushed their own identities. They might as well beg for death, which they often do with eager enthusiasm in the hope that their next life will be either a curative release or a better one. These types incapacitate themselves, gurgling for enslavement, which they pray for with open arms. These individuals have succumbed to their surroundings. These aspects of branded and sold into a whore personality are ingrained in lazy television-fed reality embedded within a defeatist upbringing. It is far easier to live on your knees and to be a slave than it is to be a remote influencing God who slashes his own way through the universe. Misfortune follows these sheeple. Beware, they are toxic and they are everywhere. So this is fascinating. Written in 999, the Satanic Paradigm, how relevant it is today. School system is really weird. A lot of my friends are in academia, and they're just really saying that this society is so dumbed down, and really in their computers. And I have spoken of the satanic singularity, eventuality of what the phone in your hand will soon be streaming in your nanocellularized blood, and you'll be able to redefine yourself, upload your brain into a super consciousness machine, and so on and so on. This will happen for the chosen few, or those that can afford it. But as we look at this, it's very prophetic, this book. And it's even, some of these things are coming true now, considering I wrote it 5 years ago. As a writer and reflecting on what was once written, I haven't looked at this since that time. So I wrote it, and you are now hearing it today, January, whatever day it is, Freya's Day, I do know that, beautiful Chicago, filled with its dark towers of Mephistopheles, and it's interesting, because I haven't chimed in on this since then. Long proclaimed and heralded, a new satanic aeon has risen. Now the third wave of Asmodean gnosis begins. Contradictory to what many believe, the name of Satan is not dead. It is alive and well on planet Earth. Many attempts have been made to despise, to marginalize his arrival, yet collectively, in the back of our minds, we always knew. A new satanic imperative is before us. The sea roars in the name of Typhon. It has begun. Third wave Satanism is the outward progression, the advanced satanic psychic apparel of supernatural powers exhibited by black magic practitioners as never before in modern times. It is the raw display of meta-mystical portents within the lexicon of our entire known world that breaks all previously conceived boundaries laid down by physical laws of nature. It is the evolution of the psychic satanic black magic practitioner into a stronger, darker, harder axe of Luciferian light, protecting Gaia. Third wave Satanism is the awakened supra-Aryan satanic psychic within. Very interesting. And it has a very mantra-based aspect to it as it marches on. This book is definitely about marching. You can feel the cadence of the work, as I am the writer of the work. I'm Winter Laake at winterlaake.com, and I'm reflecting on the Satanic Paradigm for the first time in 5 years. I've often spoken of or reflected on it, but I haven't gone back into the reading of the work. And this is interesting. As a writer, for me, I'll just log out a bunch of stuff, write it, and never look at it again. I'll do some editing, and a lot of my work requires editing because I'm superfluous in my writing, and I get into a flow, and I edit it myself, which is not good. You need a separate editor, although I have an amazing friend who has edited my Satanic Paradigm. She is awesome. She actually edited this work, and I owe her tremendously. She did an amazing job on it. It is perfect. And she will be rewarded for that when that time comes. But kudos to that and the power of that, because in reading of it, most of my work, it probably will have errors in it, as I am self-published. I do my own, I carry my own thing. There are publishers that want to get involved with me, you know, and all that, and writing movie star or something like that. I mean, I can do that. Maybe I'll do that in the future, release all that. But I kind of don't want other hands in my work. I don't know why that is. Maybe I can overcome that, but once I think that I have given it over to some kind of publisher or something, then the things change. You know, my words as they are some kind of art piece that needs to kind of stay the same. And the errors may be a part of that. You may find some of that. Now, even in the Amazon uploads, that has nothing to do with me. When it goes, for example, when you upload one of your ebooks, if you're a self-publisher or you're writing on your own, or Knopf or whatever, even Knopf or these other major corporations that are in publishing, something happens in the process from uploading into Amazon, because I've noticed that when you load your PDF that you're not getting the configurations of the book itself. It looks wrong. Now my friends say, oh no, it'll be okay, you know, even though when I look at it, it looks all jarbled. When something happens in the upload up to their site to sell as ebooks or something. So that will have to be sorted out. Even major player writers, you know, that sell a lot more books than I do. And my goal is not to sell books, really. I'm conveying a message, and I'm not seeking to convert. I'm doing this for me. I'm not doing this for anyone else in the world but me. I convey my message for my own knowledge to do so. I don't seek to convert and all this kind of thing, or to become a guru, to say, oh, I need followers or something like that. No, I don't really even care about that. Satanic Paradigm. Rise of the Satanic Age, the Satanic Codex. Satanism is resurgent across the world. By definition, Satanism is to subliminally control your exterior surroundings and bend them to your Aryan will. This assertion towards the Aryan aesthetic is ancient and not to be confused with the Nazification of the word Aryan. The point of our black magic journey is to free the Satan within, to get in touch with our true feelings and dark nature. Mankind is inherently evil, yet strives to be something it is not. The Satanist says, embrace what you are. Mankind is going in the wrong direction. They have been going that way for a long time. We are on the cusp of something extraordinary. Even many who do not believe in Satan feel a sense of fear and awe from the mystery of his name being spoken aloud. While Belial has played a role in the rulership of the world, at no other time in history is his power more apparent. Since the mid-20th century, the theme of our search for a satanic intellect is divided into two distinct perspectives, one being that Satan is an entity, and the other being that Satan is an aesthetic. At this point in time, that is irrelevant. We are all going the same direction. The term Aryan is an ancient one, more in tune with the vitality of Madame Blavatsky's writings. Of Madame Blavatsky in her work in Theosophical is innumerable and other ancient mystery occultists. The very concise census was taken, and in turn of the millennium. The statistics showed a population explosion. The numbers are staggering. Approximately 6.2 billion people. Of that number, nearly 95%, or 5.9 billion people, believe in the existence of a satanic power or an evil force of some description. More than half of those people refer to this power as a Satan that influences mankind. Simple statistics suggest that the question has very little to do with believing whether Satan exists and more about precisely what such a presence means in our conscious lives. With the population exploding, armies are assembling, swaying the modern world's light towards extinction. Satanists must pause for reflection. We ask ourselves, is there an inherent demonic cell in us that separates us from the sheeple, the roving droves of walking consumer dead? Yet this is, and there is a great difference. The alchemical code for the Hebrew God is YHV. The alchemical code for Lucifer is AMSH. This is significant. Understand that the DNA strands have these similar letters and numeric compositions within them showing the code of division. Does this mean that the makers of the strands prolix borrowed the same alchemical letterings in their definitions of these strands? This is quite possible. Yet it provides powerful evidence that the division is real. The ancient name of Satan, coded into the very fabric of our existence, would go a long way towards explaining why some are born into the line while others revile it. I feel it is more than a mere chance. I believe that the hybrid anomalies of the Satanic Codex are working through us throughout our culture. Signs of the Satanic Age are recognized. We are self-made magicians. Satanists believe the self is deistic. Our work can ever be perfected through training and practice. We are at one with Asmodeus, with new ways to inquire into meaningful and augury of omens. In this Satanic Age, practitioners are highly creative in their satanic synthesis, a cadre of personified possibility. Lucifer is limitless. With the innovations over the past 100 years, electricity generation, genetic comprehension, and travel beyond our orbit, I cannot believe there are still people who will not accept that the supernatural is real. The Satanic Paradigm is implicit in all of its variations, and it moves to overtake all aspects of modernization. Soon the religions will not be able to deny it, although their faith will not permit it. It is becoming self-evident. Lucifer is rising. And so he is. And it's evident in the fact that some idiot has spent $350,000 to hunt the last black rhino. And that's just ridiculous. As I was saying earlier in the program, there's no need to do this kind of behavior. This is stupid. And I'm sure that somebody is going to spend $350,000 to hunt this guy. And I don't think he's going to be around much longer. This is my opinion. I don't seek to do this. I'm not threatening him. I don't play that on the radio, broadcasting to thousands of people in Chicago who have the power to do that for. We are broadcasting live on AM 1710 and streaming global QUE4. I am Winter Laake at winterlake.com. But this rhino guy is such an impoverished ego jerk. I'm going to shoot this poor little rhino. I feel bad for the rhino. And I wonder who took that money. Maybe they suckered him. Maybe one of these Banshee not global, but local little pirate groups or something in Somalia sold him some lie. It'd be funny. Took his money and said, hey, bro, go ahead, hunt the rhino. We're probably going to put his head on a stake. It'd be crazy. Probably going to happen, though. It's in our relative nature as a humanity to definitely be inhumane to others and to take others as suckers and so on. And maybe he did get suckered. this whole thing about I'm gonna hunt this rhino and spend 350 grand and all this, that's such stupidity. There's so much better things that can be done in the world than this. Lovecraft lies sleeping, taken from the Satanic Paradigm. Children will always be afraid of the dark, and men with minds sensitive to hereditary impulses will always tremble at the thought of the hidden and the fathomless worlds of the strange life which pulsates engulfed beyond the stars, or presses hideously upon our own globe in unholy dimensions which only the dead and moonstruck can glimpse. O friend and companion of night, thou who rejoices in the baying of wolves and spilt blood, who wanders in the midst of shades amongst the tombs, who longs for blood and brings terror to mortals. H.P. Lovecraft. Lovecraft Lies Sleeping, written by Winter Lake, is an ode to him as a manifestation of his work as he did write in code. When I lived in Brooklyn, I used to retrace his steps. I used to live outside of Red Hook, and he was there with Sonia Green, his wife, and so on. These things were happening there for him. But if you look at the entire complexity of the different records of Lovecraft, he was definitely an occultist. He was definitely an Aryan, but he was a racist Aryan too, and I don't have tolerance for race, so it's probably where him and I deviate, because I don't really care about it, but he obviously did. In that time period, they were hung up on that kind of thing, but I'm not, I don't care. That's the only thing I really deviate about with Lovecraft is this whole racial thing. It's just stupid. But other than that, he was a great occultist who, in his writings, if you look for it, the codes are relevant, and he invented these different deities. There are people that say these deities exist. It's a possibility they do, because as I said earlier, if you have an infinite amount of space, you have an infinite amount of possibility. So it's hard to rule anything out. Lilith, Korif, Moloch, 1,000 concertina of screams, opener of the way, look favorably upon my sacrifices. Lovecraft lies sleeping. Affluence. A dream overtook my unconsciousness, one to which I now reveal. It told of a death that was not final, in a nightmare that I grew to now only cherish. In a nightmare that I realize now to be a subliminal communication, and which I had held hidden within dark corridors of my mind, yet it tore at me as shadows of Innsmouth, always there, always at the edge of my sleep, awaiting to grip me with the unknown, and to which I now reveal. Yet I hear him. He calls to me, the whisper in the dark. Listen now, very closely, and you will hear the sickle rod of death saying his name. His future shall become our future. His future shall reproach the barrier, and in a succession of nights his voice haunted my soul, arid, turning in unrest, calling out unto me, speaking through dreams. Lovecraft lies sleeping. I reside behind the mirror of the threshold, shattered in the mind's eye of the beholder, the watcher abasinated of sight, the watcher out of time. I walk in the veiled realms of Yog-Sothoth, buried under archaic ice, and you shall not speak my name. I, with wings of Luciphael, soar through space, out beyond the infinite, hearing the call of Cthulhu to return me to whence I came, breathing again when the omens are in alignment, and the moon brings dark circumference to the vast and fathomless deep, and when all is right in Necronomicon perils, absent of light, I inhale the stars at the rim of the black aether. To rain and fire upon the earth and world of parasites, Hastur through Asher holds the key, avatars of breached insanity. I have died many deaths, yet I am not dead. My belly still turns as rats in the walls, chewing through the skin, culminating and stirring, pouring over with alchemical acid tears, and I have slept for millions of years. I dwell in the thoughts of the great old ones as they dwell in me. My soul is their instrument. My soul is entombed in their dreams. My soul is their bridge from this world to them, speaking to those that I soul elect to carry forth the monstrous harlotry of my awakening beyond the spheres of good and evil. I in bodily form lie immersed in mold, fungi, and shadow. My skeleton inwardly rots, my mind is worm-eaten. Yet my spirit is luminescent, streaming within the Baphometic power of Azathoth, and you shall marvel at my omniscience. I am worshipped upon distant worlds, at the city of pillars or at the walls of Urks. Monuments have been erected unto me. I am Yaga through the void, father of a million favored ones, stalker of the insolent, the bringer of pestilence and renunciation. I am shapeless, I am formless, I walk no discernible path. I lurk in my own design at the edge of the barrier. I bear the mitre of Lilith, the scepter of tribulation. My entropy pierces with seething, crawling chaos. I am forsaken, which beckons to engulf. I dwell in satanic copulation, exemplified by contradiction. I am Mammon of avarice, eyes of flame and vainglorious sacrifice. 100 children to Aram. I am a wraith of carnage, I feed upon the dead. I am your empty woe bygone, affliction, and necrophagic exhumanist. I am Shub-Nagurith at the altar of Relay, or the devil's hop-yard from here to Sarkosa, by the dim lamp of Alhazred, in the shuttered room of Derleth. I intone my future denizens of Dunwich horror. At Red Hook sojourns of Miskatonic Arkham, or at the Witch's Hollow. Come, decipher the cryptic tome. I know that even when you are by yourself, you never feel quite alone. Resonations of my ravening copulence still remain. I am the doom that came to Sarnath, awaiting and awaiting when the stars are right to breach the chains that bind me, to be liberated, to ignite the world in holocaust, to ignite the world in ecstasy, to devour the arrogant populace who abandon me. For I am the Hierophant of death, bringer of Nyarlathotep, and the time is soon. I still remiss the Walpurgis not music of Eric Zahn, amidst rains and the concertina of lightning. A blighted harangue, a blighted seer, disconcerting to the naked ear, disconcerting to the blind feeble eye, his hideous viol, an epileptic vocation. Fluid and tentacular, perfidious claws reach out. I am the howler at the approacher. Between the plains, your father confessor. Corpses rise in the night spires of basalt liege. Come bear witness, within the pandemonium of unknown Kadith, to my dark wave consummation, at the wave band of thought. I am the somnambular rape of the night gaunt. Don't hasten to forget, afraid to dream, in the imposition to the dimensions of madness. I am the opener of the way. I rend the veil, pervasive telepathic manipulation, the whisper in the dark. I hail you to harrow my dark enlightenment. Come pierce the labyrinthine maze of the Necronomicon together. Open the door to the wings of the night, upon the teeth of the astral wind, out beyond interstellar space. Revel my return for real one. I in a last transmission entrust this upon you. That is not dead which can eternal lie, and with strange aeons, I, Lovecraft, shall never die, shall never die. And in all of these forms which I have revealed unto you, know my awakening is soon, my awakening in you. Lovecraft Lies Sleeping by Winterlake. So, his direct communication to me in a dream after I visited his grave some years ago inspired that work, because he appeared to me in a dream, and the aspect is conveying that he is saying that all of his manifestations of his writing or him as a black magic practitioner. He is the one that is asleep in the veil, manifestation through time and space. Our Hazred was him as he is that. And I've touched on it in screenplays that I've written, and I've optioned and things will be coming out in the future in regards to Call of the Cthulhu and Dreams in the Witch House and some things that I have rights to, which are fascinating because I went to Laake and I can do that. It's not even ego talking about doing that. I just have that ability. And you can too if you get to the echelons of your pulpit of Hero Mephistophelian reality that I am speaking to you from, the thousands of different listeners that I have. And it's nice to have you with me, and I appreciate it, and I hope I don't get too long-winded. I did get several requests to continue my reading series. I had done Black Magic is Might, I had done Luciferian Incantus, and I am just playing and toying reading with the Satanic Paradigm today. It is a massive volume. Only written in about this few months, however, 999, I just wrote it. Added in some poetry, and bang, she goes. So there you go. And this is the first time, as I said earlier in our conversation, that I am reflecting on it now. So it's been 4 years or something. This is the first time I'm looking at it. And I'm finding it very prophetic in its tandem nature to our current trends and times. Different things that have gone on in society now are more reflective in it than ever before. And it's a lot of fun, to look at it as a writer and then come back to it. And I will continue. A Rowan Bell Witch. I have been around a lot of witches today, so this is kind of interesting. I don't know how good it's going to be. Unrelent in her iniquity, whose time is again come round. Fettered and feared in spectral black mist she appears, overtaking and unsuspecting, her glowing Gaianan eyes encapsulate, to visit upon them every 7 years, bringing family unrest, bringing sickness to their health. Maledictus est. Bringing sickness and death, and who of the Bell family shall be the next to become her new convalesced offering, to pay for the disruption of her bones in the long-dead distant century in flight from her cavernous cemetery, she seeks to redeem. All hail Halloween. Blessed All Hallow Mass season, lifting the gate, grave unto the headless horseman, on to the chase, cloven hoof-stomping race, nightmare mane astride, bellowing, cackling pride, our death-rattling guide, uplifting a rapier blade, leading the black parade, crossing Ichabod Crane's covered bridge, debaucheries crashing in revelry's nightshade, Sabbatica's whirling incubus of shadows, and flights of opalescent keen, exalt in the night of darkness, recite the Enochian dream. All hail Halloween. All hail Halloween every day. I don't live Halloween every day, though. A lot of people do, wearing corpse paint and stuff, and I'm not down on that. I'm not downing that at all. I mean, people can do what they want to do. The current trend of Satanism is taking on many forms. I'm not really responsible, or I'm just a part of all the different forms. I live a kind of a high life myself. I don't wear corpse paint. I like death metal on a very low level. It's very meditative for my work and my writing and screenwriting. But a lot of people make the metal more their religion than the aspect of trying to get into the worship of themselves as a higher race, superconsciousness. They're more into the music aspect of it as a form of worship. And I guess that's fine too. But they're marrying it into Satanism. I found that it's not really necessary. If you're worshiping the music, you're worshiping the music. You're not trying to do that, but they're putting that in that, the corpse paint, all this. It's interesting. And I get emails from different people all the time, as I've said in the past. Play more death metal on your show, play this and so on, you know. You're a black magic guy, you're in the occult, supernatural, you talk about all the stories. Let's hear some death metal. And I'm not a music show. I actually put music in just to give some brevity, but a lot of people in the Pentacle-Hours listeners are like, we don't want to hear the music, you know, we listen to enough of that. In the modern culture, many that are streaming me, they don't have time to even do anything. So listening to a song is giving them 2 or 3 minutes to tune out. So it's just interesting how that goes. But, you know, I might do a little bit of death metal, don't get me wrong. It's just not something that I'm worshiping in and of itself, as I see a lot of death metal musicians doing. But, you know, to each his own. It's not, you know, in the Pentacle-Hours set in stone that one topic is this or that, and I'm not really slamming anything. I don't really Christian bash or whatever. I'd received messages in regards to that. I stay away from that. I'm not interested in blasphemy. I'm just speaking the truth. Church edict is dying. The people aren't following it, and everyone's a witch. You just got to call a spade a spade. I mean, it's so universal, you know. It's just like my encounters on the train. It's every day. It's fascinating. You know, just like earlier today, you know, running into that guy, and he's got all these symbols on and everything. But we are coming near the end of my program here in Chicago area. And I'm Winter Laake at winterlaake.com. I will be uploading it later, as I do every night. And I hope you are enjoying your Freya's day. It has been a roller coaster ride for Daddy. I can tell you that, because it's been not much sleep and a lot of praying.